IMC, how are you? Good energy? Can I hear some positive vibes? Yes. Thank you. 10 years back, if I had started this session, I would have asked, how many of you have 3G enabled mobile phone or a 4G enabled mobile phone? I want to start this session today by asking, how many apps do you have on your mobile phone? I have about 33 on my phone. How about you, sir? How many mobile applications on your mobile phone? 35 to 40? Sir, in the red? Around 30, ma'am? Awesome. Madam, how about you? 30, 35? Sir? 25. Awesome, you're still catching up, but saving your mobile storage for the best of those. How about you, Hitesh? 40 plus. Awesome. So, I think we are really in the app-driven world. Our mobile phones are helping us for every possible thing. We are really addicted to the mobile phone, if I may call it so, for all the good reasons. But this is good news for the startup founders, the startups which are building applications, which are solving for many, many things, simplifying things, easing a lot of things for us, ordering food, enabling travel. I just took an Ola cab to reach here, simplifying the travel big time. A lot of barriers simplified for all of us using these mobile applications, definitely. Can I have a show of hands? How many founders in the audience here today? Any founders, application developers? Yes, no, all mobile enthusiasts, yeah, you're one, awesome. Any other founders here in the vicinity? Yeah, please come over to the front. All founders need to be front benchers, please. There are 6, 7 benches. I've reserved these slots for you. I want to especially start by asking the mobile app founders, the startup founders, what does it mean to you in terms of customer engagement? Because we have a good number of people using 30 plus apps, 40 plus apps, 20 plus apps. So in this app-driven world, what matters most to you? How do you keep your customers happy? Can we have mic also shared with the audience here, please? I'll give you 30 seconds to think through this question. To the gentleman here, please.
So it should be stable,
Okay.
secure, and scalable.
I like the 3 S. Stable, secure, scalable. You're not ex-McKinsey or KPMG or Big Four, right? Yeah, but you have a good framework already. Sir, how about you? Yeah, we're getting the mic to you. We need the founders to be more audible. Your voices need to be heard.
I think it's about adding more value,
Okay.
solving for the real problem they're facing, and learning how their journey is changing, right? First, like Ola, you mentioned taking Ola, right? Now, initially you start with making it available, and then availability of cabs become a problem. You are a platform, you have multiple faces. So solving it for problems which keep cropping in your journey, I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, I think he's just coming closer to you, saying available, accessible. I think we need one more A to just come up to his record. Yeah, please, sir.
Hi, my name is Amitava Mazumdar. I have a small question. You spoke about apps and things like that. If we didn't have apps, how we satisfy the customer earlier or make their experience better?
Thank you for asking that, because I'm just going to segue into that topic. So I think it's important, to keep track of a couple of metrics as founders developing applications for consumption of consumers. I think there are a few things that research, best practices, thought leadership tell us. And I'm going to, again, pass this on to you to get your thoughts on this. So my primary research tells me that, customer LTV, the lifetime value, it increases over a period of time if you have loyal customers. So now this lifetime value is a very critical metric, especially when you're, of course, raising funds from investors. That's one of the key metrics they ask for. But it's about keeping the customers happy throughout their lifetime. More they stay, more your LTV, the higher the LTV, right? So how many of you think LTV is important? And yeah, you do? Yes, LTV. How many people are in? Superb. Second is with respect to CES, which is the customer effort score. So when we say customer effort score, it is about the friction that is created, right? So the friction, tell me one app that you really like using. Little louder, yeah, please.
It's just going to be a social media app.
Social media app, and you
Instagram,
love using it because
we can connect
connect,
with
okay?
people and look around what's going on.
It makes connectivity easier for you.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So I think this is all about simplifying the barriers, right? The friction for usage of some of these applications is minimized by all of these apps. And the CES is again the second important score that I think is important for an app developer. Of course, we all talk about CSAT. So any idea what is CSAT for this young audience here? No, you don't know what is CSAT? Because all of these founders are worrying about that and you don't know what is it. CSAT, yeah, please. Customer satisfaction, paramount. Customer is the king. We've seen not just in small eateries, but for all of us, big companies, customer satisfaction matters the most. But I would probably go a little farther from CSAT into the next zone of, any guesses? Customer delight. I think that's more important to me. As a more mature organization, I would probably worry about customer satisfaction in the initial years of formation. But as I mature in my journey as a company, I worry about customer delight. I don't say I would worry, but I would be more concerned about delivering the right kind of customer delight to my consumers. Now, let's just spend 2 minutes thinking about what can be strategies for delivering customer delight. I wouldn't say it's very different from CSAT because the strategies may be very similar. So let's start thinking through some of the norms in terms of customer satisfaction, meeting their expectations and exceeding their expectations. So, sir, what do you think are some of the strategies we can think about customer satisfaction and delight? Can we have a microphone here, please?
In my opinion, it is money, saving money, time, and
Optimization,
entertainment.
okay.
Entertainment.
Entertainment.
Three parameters which a customer is primarily concerned with.
Time, money, and entertainment. Fantastic. Any other inputs, sir? Sorry to keep the host on your toes, but I would love to have such an engaged audience.
It's quality beyond expectation.
When you say quality beyond expectation, can you just explain quality in your perspective?
It's everything. It's the tolerances,
Mhm.
it's the finish, it's the, of course, performance,
Mhm.
very much to say. And cost is not such a great criteria for creating customer really excellent.
Can I just tweak it a
example,
little bit to call it as excellence in your experience, in your digital experience? Do you think we can call it that way? Excellence in your experience of the application.
Of course.
Of course.
That's covered by the performance part.
Yeah.
But even beyond performance, like,
Mhm.
I don't know now because a lot of brands are doing it. But earlier, whenever you used to buy a Sony product, it was excellent. It was,
Yeah, the excellence, finesse matters.
Yeah, the packing, the way you can open the packing, the eco-friendly
Yeah.
methods of this.
We're just not concerned about that 99.99%, that 0.01%, right?
Correct.
Bang on. I think you brought out the real value that distinguishes customer satisfaction from customer delight. You know, anybody can aspire to do that 99.99%. How do we bring in that 0.01%? I think that's where we all strive. And today I have two of my colleagues here, Hitesh and Tuhin, to see how Cisco can help you through this. So why are we here? I think it's like, you know, we are of course in this World Cup fever. The cricket match series is still going on. Today we have the India-England match, right? Yeah, so that's why you probably see a more emptier auditorium here. So while the CSAT part of it is, I think, more of cheerleading, people with all the nice dolaks on the stadium cheering the team, I think what we strive to do is be ingrained in the customer journey, like the coach, like the physio, helping the team deliver on the outcome for the customers. So that's what we strive to deliver to our customers from Cisco's perspective. Helping them excel and get to that point, not 1% of finesse. So that is our vision and mission. Of course, we do this beyond the usual stuff of CSAT, where you kind of regularly collect customer feedback to ensure we know their pulse. We, of course, personalize the first-time user expectation experience. We help look at user segmentation so that we can provide contextual experiences to the customers. Of course, we think it's important to celebrate the success, because celebration, of course, means that you're part of the team. You're committed to their success. Importantly, when things go wrong, you have to be there and make sure that you're solving for it without wasting too much time. Customer loyalty is, again, a key thing that we've seen a lot of brands, a lot of companies adopt in their offerings. And most importantly, we also think it's important to have a view of customer interactions outside your product zone also. If I'm using Ola, then the company may also want to know which are the competitor apps that are being used, all right? So we need a view of not just our own application. We need the view of the world. We need to know the business context of the users who are coming in. Is it this pretty lady who is sitting in the front, or is it that gentleman who is a startup founder, or is it this corporate businessman? So I need the context of the user into my application. I need to know who are the other players involved in this. And most importantly, I need to ensure I be their coach, I be their physio, and be working through them towards their success. So I will let my colleagues take you through some of these strategies, get into a little bit of tech, deeper tech if we may, so that we can tell you how really we can help achieve this for your businesses. And believe me, this has been tested, tried, validated in some of the one customers all the way to startups and unicorns. So what you're going to be seeing is something that's been validated and a success model that we want to share with all of you. So stay tuned and help me welcome Hitesh.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Perfect. So my name is Hitesh. I lead the digital native business for Cisco App Dynamics. All right, and today we'll probably talk about the predictive powerhouse, which is mastering digital experiences for customer bliss. Right. All right. So I'll start off with a personal story. While coming for this event, I was trying to book my flight tickets. All right, and for some reason, the flight that I wanted to take, while I was booking it, I was not able to complete the booking. All right, so I tried a couple of times, but then I failed, and immediately I switched to another service provider, and the process was very smooth, and I was able to book the flight tickets. All right, so this is what is the current situation right now. The apps that you are building, the organizations that are building these applications, are the front door for digital experiences, right? The competition is so fierce in the market. You will directly switch on to another vendor if you are not able to do your job with the initial vendor that you were probably going with, right? So you want to make sure that you accelerate in this digital transformation journey. Moreover, after COVID, you are seeing a lot of businesses going online, right? And the customers want to have a digital experience, right? So it is very important for us to have this experience sorted. So now when you're moving in this journey, when you going towards the digital transformation journey, it's a bit complex, right? When the applications that you guys are now building are a bit complex. Earlier, it was a monolith two-tier architecture, right? Right now, it's more towards the cloud, right? It's you have different teams working on the single application, right? You have your infra ops, your app ops, DevOps, right? You have your security, and you also have your network ops, right? And you want to make sure that these teams are working in tandem seamlessly, all right? But what happens is, in the current situation, these teams are working in their own zones, right? Or in a siloed approach, all right? Each team is using their own set of tools, all right, to make sure that uh, their job is doing is going pretty well. But what happens is there's no common ground here, right? Whenever anything happens, or whenever there's a bug in the system or in the application, right, there's finger pointing on each other, right? Network team will be like, hey, everything is you know pretty seamless at our end. The application team will be like, hey, it's working fine at our end. So there's a war room kind of scenario, right? And we need to move away from that. Now, this complexity leads to 56% of the teams using more than 10 application monitoring tools, all right? You have more than 60% say observability tools serve a narrow requirement for their team. They're not able to get the utmost out of it, all right? And there's 74% that struggle with data collection within these apps, right? So this overall complexity, of course, there's a lot of tools and there's frictions amongst team, all right? So what is the basis of this full stack observability which we're talking about here, right? Our platform, right, enables you to correlate and have all these data points at a single pane glass view, all right? You have our platform providing, metrics for the application team, infrastructure team, network, and security team, providing a single pane glass view, and then they can probably start working on it together to make sure that the frictions among these teams are pretty less, right? We just do not stop at that. We provide you business context on top of it, right? To make sure that you're getting, let's say, for example, you want to understand what is the amount or the number of transactions that failed, right? Or there's, for example, you're going on an e-commerce website and you're putting something, or you're putting something in cart and there's cart abandonment, right? You want to make sure what's that number. So we provide you with all those visibility. So what is Cisco's stack observability offering, right? So Cisco basically brings together data from multiple operation domains to provide you a unified visibility, derive real-time insights, and recommend actions, right? Which enables you to focus on what matters, which is revenue, customer delight, which we talked about, right? Risk, cost, and a lot of it, right? You want to reduce some tools that the teams are using in their siloed, approach, and you want to reduce the mean time to resolution, right? Now, this is the FSO offering. So how does the full stack FSO offering helps you? It helps you observe what really matters, right? Secure the overall user experience or user journey, and make sure you optimize the costs and everything that you're probably looking at, right? So this is a high-level overview of what the full stack observability by Cisco offers. I'll probably move and then pass it on to my colleague Tuhin, who can probably talk about the use cases in detail. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Tuhin. I am part of Cisco for the last 4 years. I play the advisory sales engineer role. Thanks for all the information and the heads up, Shruti and Hitesh. So let's talk a little deeper. Let's drill down more into what has been covered so far. So what I'll talk today about is a couple of use cases of what the background Shruti and Hitesh gave. And also I'll walk you through a real-time demo. I'll show you how these slides are made real from Cisco side, right? So one of the use case is the customer digital experience. So Shruti mentioned about booking a Ola cab, or Hitesh mentioned about booking a flight ticket. So what is the front door of any business for any business for their users to interact with, right? It is the application through which the users interact with the business. So it's imperative for the business to keep an eye on how the real users are experiencing. So let's say you're ordering a pizza, you're super hungry, right? And we expect that pizza to be delivered within 30 minutes. Imagine the complexity. Hitesh mentioned about the complexity, right? It's just a pizza for us. And for Domino, it's just one user. But at the back end, there's a lot of technology that is involved. So it's imperative for the companies who are providing the service for the end customer, be it ordering a pizza, be it booking, applying for loan, be it transferring funds or UPI transactions, right? Be it any industry, there is applications and there is a lot of technologies involved in the backend. So how do we correlate how the end users are experiencing in real time when they access the application over a browser client or a mobile client? How do we know that what is the application's performance at the back end and how is the end users experiencing, right? So that is the customer digital experience monitoring is, which we correlate the end user's experience with the application's performance. The next use case is, while all these transactions happen, right, if the application is safe and secure or not, right? So for the business, it's imperative for keeping their application safe and secure so that it doesn't impact the user experience in the front end. I'll showcase how or demonstrate how the business risk observability is taken care of. Before I go into the demo, this is my last slide. So this is the framework. This is actually real now. This is the FSO platform, the full stack observability platform, which is extensible, right? And we also have solutions which are built. So basically the blue part here are the solutions that are already available, built by Cisco. And we have also partnered with various partners around the globe who are building an extensible solution, which is marked in orange here, right? So we basically get a cross-melt data, open telemetry, network telemetry, security telemetry, various other information around AI and ML to keep an eye on the application, network, security, infrastructure, and build that a correlated view of how the business is getting impacted and keep an eye on the end user's experience. So let's look into a demo. I'll walk you through how an application performance monitoring can be done. How can we correlate that back to your end user's experience? How application is kept safe and secure. And we'll also get a network visibility from an end user experience perspective. So the demo video, please. So this is a full stack observability dashboard, which gives you telemetry data across the applications, the business related information. So basically, can you please pause it, please? Just for a minute. So this is a full stack observability dashboard, which gives a visibility of the application performance, the network performance, how is the application safe and secure or not, which talks about the risk score. Then there are various business telemetry data. So this is basically a loan application journey, right? Imagine I am a bank employee trying to monitor my loan application, right? Now I want to keep an eye on what is the typical user journey from a loan application perspective. So if you see these green and red dots, right? So these are my application's front end and the back end services. So what happens when you typically apply for a loan? From a landing page, you fill the information, submit the loan. That's your journey, right? That is what typically we do when we apply for a loan. But what happens in the back end is the moment the loan is submitted, there is a credit score that is checked. There are various services that goes through, right? So this is the complexity that we were talking about. In the front end, the companies are making a UI very intuitive, but in the back end, there are various services that the bank needs to keep an eye on. We'll talk about more into how we can look into the telemetry data. What if something goes wrong? The front end gets affected, right? So we'll quickly have a look at it. Please play it. Right? So, so we know that how many loans have been completed, what is the amount requested on an average perspective, and then on the same screen we can see what is the infrastructure performance, what is the network score, and yeah. So from an internet perspective, what is the latency, what are the API availability, available bandwidth, and from a network metric perspective, what metrics can we see, right? So let's look at look into the loan submit journey. What happens in the back end? Why is it slow? So that my end users are getting affected. So this particular dashboard is not just to view it. We can also drill down and see, go till the last mile of the code to identify where exactly the issue is. So this particular flow is automatically discovered by the system through the machine learning mechanism. It discovers that what all services that are involved in a loan submit journey. So you can see there are 3 services. The circles are basically services which are on the back end for a simple loan submit action alone, right? And we can look into various time period. We know that from a service perspective, in the entire flow, we exactly know that the loan service component is problematic one across all the other services. So the mean time to identify the issue is quickly cut down because we know that the loan service is the problematic one. However, we'll go till the last mile of the code to identify where exactly the issue is, right? So you see the transaction scorecard here. I'll talk more about what the scorecard is. Before that, I'll give you a very high-level overview of what the application dashboard is. So this is the banking application where the entire application's flow is automatically discovered, right? This is not just for one action, that is loan submit. However, this is for the entire loan application. And the flow is discovered basically through the business transaction. So whatever APIs, so basically you perform a login action, you apply for the loan, you check for the credit card score, all that information, all the API information are automatically discovered, and we also tag the business risk, which I'll talk more about in the future demo. Yeah, so let's talk about how we can identify the issue automatically, right? So you see there are very slow transactions automatically discovered. So it lets us know that there are 124 transactions which are slow. So let's drill down into one of the slowest transaction to go till the last mile of the code to identify the issue. Now my users are facing slowness in the loan service. So I go into one transaction or one slowness transaction to identify where the issue is. So you can see here from the potential issues, I can get to know in the so from the potential issues, we be able to quickly identify where the issue is. There is a thread sleep state, which is written by the developer. Now we can, so play it once. Stop. So you can see there is a thread sleep state in the application's code. Now we don't know that if the developer has written this deliberately or not, right? So there has to be some justification. So we can quickly go back to the developer and ask them to probably remove this thread sleep so that my loan application submission can be seamlessly performed. So what we have done here is, we know that from an entire journey of a loan application's loan submission journey, there are various steps. We know where exactly the issue is, which leg of the transaction is slow. we identified that the loan submission out of the entire journey, loan submission was the problematic one. We went into the loan submission journey. We saw what all services that are contributing to the entire loan submission application. And out of all the 3 services, there were 1 service which was slow. We went into that, we saw that there are entire piece of code which are getting executed, right? You see the line number 37, 66. So we go till the last mile of the code and let you know that where the code performance issue is, right? So they're clearly saying that 86% of the time is taken through the taken by the thread sleep state. Now this is a transaction snapshot which gives us visibility into the application's piece of code. Now at the same time, we can also know that what is my what are my slow calls and errors. Now if we don't, let's say developer says that I don't want to go through the entire piece of code, we can click on the slow calls and have a visibility into it. And there is a correlated view of your infrastructure metrics. What is my CPU? What is my memory utilization of the server on which my loan service submission is happening? Now, so this is from an application performance monitoring standpoint. Let's look into the end user experience. We were talking about end user experience monitoring is paramount. We need to keep an eye on how my end users are accessing my application. So this is the end user experience monitoring screen on the same FSO platform, which tells me what is my overall end user response time, what are the browsers, top 10 browsers through which my end users are accessing my application, pages per minute. Basically, these are all basic information from a real user experience perspective. All right, so we were talking about the application's performance and the end user's experience. Now, what happens if my network is not performing well? Because there is network always involved between an application and my end user. So let's imagine that you're trying to book an order a pizza, and you're not able to do it, and you try to call up the customer care and say, hey, I'm not able to order it, so please take the order. Now, at the back end, let's say a Domino's service, the guys will start looking into what the issue is, right? So it's the end user, it's a firefighting between your end user and the application. What is the gray area is between the network, right? So we need to keep an eye on how the network is performing between the application and the end user. That is what this 1000 Eyes Network Insights gives you. So this is an out-of-the-box integration that we have with 1000 Eyes, which is also a Cisco product, which is integrated into the full stack observability platform. Now this gives us, this gives the feasibility of end users, real-time end user experience and synthetic test that is done by the 1000 Eyes. Please play it. We'll look into how 1000 Eyes helps to identify the issue quickly from a network standpoint. Now, coming back to the real user experience, we can see that across the globe who are accessing, how many transactions are happening, etc. Again, the indication becomes amber and red according to the anomaly detected. So we can drill down to one specific region and identify what is happening across my end user's experience, right? So you can see what is the device used by the end user. If that is a computer device or a mobile device, we can play an analytical view from the details that we get from the end user experience. Now, this sort of information will be helpful when it comes to a complaint from an end user and we try to identify what the issue is, who are the end user, we can get the visibility into it. Now, in this case, this clearly seen that there's no issue with the application, there's neither issue with the end user side. However, there was some latency from the network perspective, which we'll further drill down. If you see the response available time, that is the mostly time taken by the network. So we can quickly correlate from the app dynamic screen, which is predominantly for the application monitoring or a real-time experience monitoring, to a network insight monitoring. We'll wait for the demo to go to that flow. Yeah. So again, I'm back to this Thousand Eyes Network Insight. I know that the response available time, which is predominantly the network metric. So I want to drill down to the same test that I've created from the Thousand Eyes screen. So what I'll do is I'll view the test, and from here it is a seamless integration. You don't have to hop into multiple screens. It takes you to the Thousand Eyes screen itself, right? So these are various tests that is created from Thousand Eyes, which hits a particular endpoint to know what is the network insight for that particular endpoint. So we are on the Cisco's Thousand Eyes screen, which provides us network and internet visibility, which is always a gray area for any organization, right? Because let's imagine that there are dependency services, and organization are just monitoring their application. The moment the transaction goes beyond their application, it is a gray area for any organization. They will not have any control over it. So it's important for having, it's important for the organization to keep an eye on how the transactions flows from their application to the third-party dependent service, right? So that is where Thousand Eyes is going to help us. So we can know what is the loss, latency, and jitter. So these are key network metrics. So we can have a unified view in the same screen, and we can correlate what is my transaction time, if there is any loss in that particular endpoint, what is the latency, if there is any jitter, etc. Right? Now we'll see how we can identify from which particular location there is issue, right? So if you see the table view, right, of path visualization, if you can pause it, please. So this is a pretty interesting screen, right? What it tells me is, from Riyadh location, right? I have hosted a cloud agent because I know that from this particular location is my potential users are going to come in. So I have hosted a cloud agent, or I'm leveraging a cloud agent to hit this particular endpoint, which is 13.41. Blah, blah, right? So this is discovering my entire network path. None of the solution in the market, in the globe, can do this, which can identify the path visualization of the entire network path. What are the ISPs involved? Through which routers is it coming through? Can any organization tell this? The answer is no. Now, my application is accessing. So I'm a banking sector. I'm hosting the loan application. Now, this is a particular dependent service for which my applications are talking to. Now, in order for my loan application to process properly, this endpoint is critical for my business. However, I do not have control over it. How do I keep eye on it? That is where Thousand Eyes is gonna play a key role. It tells us that these are the potential routes through which my users from Riyadh location is going to access this particular endpoint. So it identifies where exactly the issue is. This particular information is going to help us mitigate the firefighting. Hitesh mentioned about friction between teams, right? So we can clearly go back to the ISP and say that these are the ISPs through which my transactions are going to be slow. So I've identified this proactively. So I have a scientific answer to go back to the ISP providers to say that, hey, can you reroute my traffic so that my end users can experience seamless performance. So look how easy it was to identify some issue which is in the network area where I do not have control, my third-party dependent application do not have control, but I have just created the synthetic test and identified where the issue is. So that is how easily we can identify network issues. Now let's look into security. Somebody mentioned about the application being secured, right? So that is also key aspect. So let's look into how easily we can keep an eye on the application runtime security. So from the same dashboard, from the same FSO dashboard, we were able to identify the application issue. We were able to identify end users experience. We were able to identify network issues. Now we are going to talk about the applications runtime security, right? So we are able to drill down from the same FSO dashboard and it tells us, so if you see the top tabs, right, I'll walk you through that again anyways. So as part of the demo, so let's look into what are the risks involved in my application for the business transaction that it is happening. So if you see, this is the business transaction. Somebody's trying to withdraw money from a banking service, right? So I want to see what is my withdraw transactions performance in terms of security. So I can see there are there are many libraries that are being used for this particular withdraw transaction to perform well. However, so if you see, there are various libraries that are being accessed, that are being used by the developers for this withdraw transaction to perform fine. However, the system has automatically discovered that there are vulnerabilities discovered for these libraries. And what can we do? If you look at the status, it is detected. Now it lets us, the solution lets us do a automated action that if you want to just detect it, or do you want to fix it, or do you want to block it? So it lets us take an automated decision that these vulnerabilities, when it is detected, do you want to fix it, or if you want to block it? So this is actually helping the SecOps team to not only keep an eye on it, but also automatically secure the application in order for the withdraw transaction to happen, perform seamlessly. Play, please. So basically, we have integrated with the CV database, that is the National Vulnerability Database, and it scores that what if this is a critical vulnerability or a warning vulnerability, and it also lets us the recommended action, the top recommended action. So let's look into one of the vulnerability that is detected. Yeah, pause it. So this is one of the vulnerability, right? So we just want to see what is the vulnerability for this particular org.apache login. Basically, this is a log4j vulnerability that is detected. And if you see which application is it impacting, what are the services on which this particular library is being accessed, since when this vulnerability has been detected, right? So it gives us entire information about this particular vulnerability. And if you see the recommendation, remediation piece, this is very interesting, right? Now, when we go back to the SecOps team with this particular data, they may ask us, what do I do with this information, right? Can you tell me what should I do, right? So that's when the system is actually recommending that you are using a version 2.14.1, you might want to either downscale it or upgrade it to 2.15, right? So that is the remediation, auto remediation that it lets us know. And from an overview perspective, it gives us complete information about what that particular library is, right? Yeah, so I was talking about this fixed, right? So if you see the status, it is fixed also, right? One of the vulnerability which was detected 17 hours ago was already fixed. However, it was again identified because that was a different transaction. And if you see the outcome here, it has already been exploited in your application. So you don't want your application to be exploited by a vulnerability, that to a log4j. Who doesn't know log4j vulnerability, right? So log4j, if you use that framework, I think a couple of years back there was a high vulnerable information that was discovered. So this is from a business transaction perspective, where it tells us what is the business risk involved in every transaction that is being performed in the application, right? So you get a CVSS score. Thanks. So if you see, we provide the CVSS score. On top of that, we use Kena and Panoptica and Telos, which is an integrated acquired solution by Cisco. So we have this in-house, out of the box, incorporated into the Cisco Secure application, which is part of the full stack observability. So the solution just doesn't give the CVSS score, but also on top of that, we provide a Kena score. This is actually to let you know that what is the possibility of highest attack that is going to happen in this particular vulnerability. Yeah, so what are the various attacks that are happening in this particular application? Which are the business transactions that are that are seeing this particular attack, we can see that view. So, so you can see, right, from a full stack observability standpoint, like Hitesh mentioned, that you need to keep an eye on your application, your network, your infrastructure, and the security aspect to it. So from a single source of truth and a single pane of glass view, you are not only able to see what is the business impact, but also be able to drill down what is the impact component, whether it is application or network or security or infra, and then give a contextualized information, and also keep an eye on how your end users are experiencing in real time. So with that, I'll hand it over to Shruti. Thank you so much. Happy to take questions. I'm just around here, so thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tuhin. Hitesh, do you also want to join? Tuhin, if there are any questions from the audience, happy to take any questions on how we can help you enable secure, seamless digital experiences for your customers. We enable not just financial transactions, but also your safe way back home.
Is it on? Sorry,
Ordering.
I have a question.
Yes, please, sir.
Sorry, great presentation. I joined midway, so you may have answered it. Is it? All right. Sorry, I joined midway, so I may have missed it. Pardon me for that. I'm talking of a use case where there's a mobile app. You took the case of loan origination disbursement. So when somebody tries to transact using a mobile, and if it doesn't go through, all right, can I track and recover by interacting, recover in other ways?
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Thanks for that question. So you can definitely keep an eye on what are the steps that your users are typically taking, or what are the actions on your mobile application. So the typical journey that you see, the front end piece is something, can be from a browser perspective or from a mobile perspective. So this solution is going to help you monitor your real user experience from a browser or a mobile application, be it Android or iOS. And it can be of various platform on which your Android or iOS is built, right? It can be a Swift application, or for Android, it can be for Maven, Gradle, etc., right? So it can monitor, and you can keep an eye on your user experience. Yeah.
I think you can think of this as more of a digital X-ray of sorts. And it's not necessarily a post-mortem analysis. You actually get these in real time when it's happening. And with help of AI, you even get predictive insights in terms of what is going to happen. So I think that's the best part of all of this. Any other questions? So thank you from Team Cisco. We continue to, as I said, enable secure financial transactions, secure transportation, even get your favorite pizzas while you watch the cricket match today. So let's all go on and cheer for India. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shruti. Thank you, Tuhin, and thank you, Hitesh.